Have you lost fat and suddenly seen that fat loss stop? No matter what you do or how hard you train, how hard you diet, you still can't seem to lose more fat. We've all been there. I've been there myself at times until I made some necessary adjustments to break through that fat loss plateau. And by the end of this video, you're gonna have 3 simple steps to break through your fat loss plateau. First, I want to start by saying fat loss, weight loss plateaus, they are both normal. Even experienced dieters like myself will even get plateaus. So they're very normal. But what actually is a plateau and how do you know you've actually plateaued? So if you've experienced, say, fat loss and then it stops, say it stops for 2 to 3 weeks, I would say that is a plateau. That's when you've actually plateaued, not if you haven't lost weight for a week, but if you haven't lost weight for 2 to 3 consecutive weeks. An average weight loss of 1 to 2 pounds is where you want to be aiming, and that's how you know you're losing at the right pace. And by average, I don't mean that you're going to lose weight every week. You're just not going to lose weight every week. There'll be some weeks you lose 0, like it might be a week, or it might be a week and a half, and suddenly on the second week you've lost a few more pounds. The average, say, over the course of a month, over the course of 6 weeks, however you want to take it. So step one to break plateaus is make sure you're tracking your calories. This is not something you have to do forever, but you have to do it at least once, at least to start with. Get it down, get your portion sizes down, accurately track your food so you know exactly what you're putting in. Otherwise it becomes a guessing game, which is completely fine to do when you're just starting out. You can play that guessing game by just removing certain foods and so forth, but after a while it will come to the point where you're going to have to probably, at least for a few weeks, track, understand portion sizes, and then you can move back away from tracking. The truth is, most overweight individuals underestimate the amount of calories they consume in a day. A 2016 paper by Brown et al. Actually looked at 58 adults, split them into 2 groups, the normal weight group and the overweight group. The overweight group overestimated the amount of calories they burnt when exercising and underestimated the amount of calories they consumed in one day. The normal weight group also overestimated the amount of calories they burnt during exercise, but overestimated the amount of calories they consumed, probably why they were at that normal weight. Step 2 is create that calorie deficit. If you've plateaued, wherever you're at now is unlikely to be the calorie deficit. And if it isn't, you have to create that calorie deficit, and you can do that by doing one of 2 things. Or 2 things, but that can come later on. You just don't want to do it too soon. So it's either move more or eat less. I actually recommend, if you have the time, to move more. So just increase the amount of exercise you're doing. If you're currently doing no exercise, then you can increase that. But that's if that's available. Like if you're maxed out on your exercise, then that's not going to be the path you go down. You're going to have to create a deficit by eating less. Just moving more, if you're not moving that much, it will mitigate some of the negative effects of eating too little. And you don't want to just be eating way too little and moving way too much. So I actually recommend sticking to about 4 to 5 hours of resistance training a week, then throwing in between 1 to 2 hours of cardio a week. And that can be done on separate days, or you can do, say, a morning session of cardio and an evening session of weight training, for example. But that's if you have the time. If you don't have the time, prioritize that resistance training. You want to prioritize that muscle building, and then you can prioritize walk. If you can tolerate it and recover from it, you can actually do a bit more than that. But that, to be honest, that's kind of the sweet spot. The sweet spot I see is the cutoff point for most people. You don't want to be experiencing loss of sleep, being sore all the time, low energy levels, low sex drive. That can come with the overtraining symptoms. You might not be fully overtraining, but experiencing some symptoms of overtraining. And obviously weight's not everything, but I do recommend tracking weight and keeping a record of your weight. So what you can do is, instead of just weighing yourself every day and taking that as just okay, I've put on weight today, what you can do is you can take your weekly average. This will help you account for any daily kind of fluctuations in water weight, and maybe you haven't been to the toilet and that means you're weighing more. So it will help you account for that. So what you do is you take your daily weight, and then at the end of the week, you divide that by 7. So 7 days worth of weight and divide it by 7. Some people even recommend doing it over the course of 2 weeks, and then doing that, working out the average over 2 weeks, and you can work out, then you know really how much you're losing. Like I said, weight's not the be all end all, but definitely keep track of it. It will help you know what's going on. Step 3, avoid metabolic adaptations. Some metabolic adaptations are extremely normal, but you don't want to get to the point where you're not losing weight because your metabolism is adapt. Like you're burning less calories at rest, and you're also burning less calories when you work out, and you're just moving much less throughout the day to conserve energy. That is kind of like an inbuilt survival mechanism. So that can happen if you've gone too extreme. This is why I always suggest doing it gradually, cutting the calories gradually, increasing the cardio, increasing the movement gradually, just to avoid those adaptations. So what you can do is start in a calorie deficit of between 20 and 25%, then just pay attention obviously to what's going on, and every 14 days you can reduce the amount of calories you're consuming a day by 100 calories, and continue like that. That should avoid any negative side effects of dieting. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up, comment with any questions you have below, or feel free to obviously send me a DM. If you want to learn more about building muscle and losing fat, you can head on over to Facebook group and join my free Facebook group. And until the next video, keep pushing those limits.